Hey everybody, welcome to our virtual Bible study for Wednesday, September the 23rd. Almost done with September, and you can feel it now. It's in the air. Fall is almost here. I'm not sure the official day of fall, but some of the mornings we've had lately they've just been so good. I love the fall. I love a little long sleeve shirt, sleeves rolled up just a tad. Maybe it's cool enough in the morning where you have to have a small light jacket. That's my time of year. That and the spring when the weather's just about the same. I love just a little bit of coolness and crispness in the air. And there's something about fall too that's just really special. So I feel like maybe that's my favorite time of the year. So I'm loving this weather lately, and I hope you are too. It makes sitting on the porch a lot nicer for me when we're engaged in this Bible study. It's not in the sweltering heat. Now there's a little cool, brisk breeze blowing, and I love that. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you so much. And what I hope you'll do is at some point that you'll share the video so that your friends and family members can also see what we are doing at North Hamilton Church of Christ. We have tried since the very beginning to have some sort of an online Bible study for those that can't get out. And even though we have resumed services, we're almost all the way there, minus the Bible classes in the smaller rooms in the church building. We're almost all the way back. And we all realize that not everybody can do that. There's some high-risk folks with the coronavirus still running around, and not everybody's going to be feeling okay to be out right now. We totally get that. That's why we primarily started the online presence, but we've gotten so much feedback, we want to keep on doing it because we're reaching a lot of people, and that thrills us, not for any kind of vainglory or pride. We are excited that the name of the Lord and His Word is getting out. That's what matters to us. We love the Word of God at the North Hamilton Church of Christ, and we want to spread His Word everywhere we can go, and this is just a great way for us to do that. Thank you so much for being here, and please share it with your friends so that they also will know what we're doing here. You might want to tell them, and I'm going to review it for them now. In the last several weeks, we've been involved in a study of angels in the Bible, and that's by request. We had, about 6 or 7 people just beg that we do something on that, and about half of those folks were not even members at North Hamilton, and so we thought that was great that we had some community response and people in the community saying, hey, what's going on with angels? What are they doing? Who are they? And that's what we're trying to figure out. So we've looked at a lot of things already. We've looked at their classifications: archangels, seraphim, cherubim, principalities, dominions, powers, thrones, even just the generic term of angels. We've seen their nature, that they're not God, but they're not man either. And so they do have superhuman qualities. They're above and beyond us, even though we read in Hebrews 2, remember that passage, where the angels are not subject to the scheme of redemption. That's just for man, just for the seed of Abraham, according to that passage. So we've covered a lot. We're talking about named angels in the Bible right now. Thus far, we've covered 2. We've seen Gabriel and Michael. Here's the third. In the Bible, the only other angel that is named, that we're aware of, you know of another one, let me know, because I haven't found it. The only other angel named in Scripture is Satan. And I strongly believe him to be an angel who's fallen from the very grace of God. And we're about to explore how we can come to that conclusion that he is an angelic being, and maybe at the same time dispel some of the kind of strange ideas that exist about his origin. And if we can get his origin right, then it helps us with his nature, because we've already covered the nature of angels. If he is an angel, right, if he's of the angelic host, then we've already discussed what his capabilities would be and what his limitations are, even though we'll do our best in the context of the devil to see those, because it's really important to know what he cannot do. It's also important to know what he can do, because he is our adversary. We're going to see that over the next 2 weeks. I think this is probably going to end up being about a 2-week study for us. Okay, so what about the origin of the devil? Now, things have to be, sort of common sense and logical for me. I like it that way, and I'm a pretty simple thinker. Things have to be pretty this or that, and I just think we can sort of narrow it to three viable options. I don't know of a fourth that exists, and this is what helps me in my understanding of the origin of the devil. Either Satan is number one, either he is equal to God, he's a part of God, he's equal to God, and if you paid attention to Hollywood, if you listened to the theology that's often presented in movies, you might think that the devil is part of God. He has godlike qualities. They present him as almost being the eternal co-equal of God. We're about to talk about that. So that's number one. Number two would be that he's some sort of a human being who has fallen away from God, and he has now these qualities. And so number two would be that he's some sort of a human being. And number three is, if he's not God and if he's not a human being, it would make him, number three, an angel. Because I don't know of any other kind of being, any other kind of person besides a divine person, a human person, and an angelic person. There are only those three. And then, of course, you can start, there's classifications under each of those. You're a human person, you're either male or female, right? You one or the other. You're not both. You're God, you're God. And then if you're an angel, you could be, you would have the nature, but you could be cherubim, seraphim, archangel. So there's classifications under each of those. But at its core, at the very base, at the very least, he is either a member of the Godhead, he is either some sort of human being, or he is an angel. Those are our three options. So let's start with number one. Is the devil God? Is he a part of the Godhead? Is he, as would be presented in a Hollywood movie, is he like the long-lost brother of Jesus Christ? Is he the equal to the Son of God? It's amazing how he's presented that way. You would almost think that the devil is equal to God, that there's sort of the coexistence of good and evil. Now, there's actually a philosophy that's been around for a long time called dualism. And dualism is the belief in the eternal coexistence of good and evil, the eternal coexistence of God and Satan. Now, we add eternal there because if you're alive, you coexist with whatever. Sometimes I get tickled. You see the preachy little stickers on cars, and a very famous one right now, I could say infamous, but a very popular one right now would be coexist. You've seen that, right? And, you have to laugh because, they're like saying, let's coexist. You do. If you're alive, you exist with whoever else is in existence. We all coexist. It doesn't mean we all get along or that we all believe in what each other believes, but it does mean that you coexist. It's just you're here, and he or she is here, and God is alive, and so we're all here. But the belief is, in dualism, the eternal coexistence of God and Satan, meaning Satan would be an eternal being, that he's always been around. He's sort of the, that's like the yin and the yang thing, that there's always been good eternally, just as there has always been evil eternally. So you have God and you have Satan, and they've just, from eternity, been balancing each other out. I would encourage you to turn your Bible with me to Genesis. I want to go to chapter 1. I don't think anybody, even if they're secular, right, who would say that if we could identify an object, that an action that would be evil, would say that's a good thing, right? So it's not, murder is not good, rape is not good. So even a person who may take God out of the equation could say that it's not good. Now here's why we do that. Genesis 1, at the very end of that chapter, in verse 31, this is at the end of day 6, meaning that God has for 6 days, he's been involved in creative activities. Now part of the 6th day would be that he's made the man and the woman, right? So remember, he looks at the man, he sees that man is alone, it's not good. So he makes the woman, and he brings them together in matrimony, they're married, And at the end of day 6, verse 31 of Genesis chapter 1, then God saw everything he had made, and indeed it was very good. Very good. So the evening and the morning were the 6th day. I want you to think carefully about this. I am willing to say, and I believe I'm right in saying this, that Satan could never have been eternally evil and existing eternally with the good God, because God couldn't say what he said here if Satan at this point was evil. He couldn't say, and I think it would also deny the fact that he's even eternal, but to suggest that evil's always been around. Since the very beginning, evil has always been. God could not say that it was very good, because evil is not very good. So this verse alone would deny the very concept of dualism, because at the end of day 6, there was no evil in the world. Everything was just as it should be. Think about this. We did a study, I guess we started it back at the end of March, the Godhead. We were looking at the attributes of God. Remember, one of those was the holiness of God. Holiness is a divine attribute, but the devil is not holy. So the devil is not God, because holiness is a divine attribute, unless somehow somebody's willing to say that divine attributes do not include holiness, but they would be wrong, because the Bible presents an eternally holy God. So the devil is not divine, and if there were any other passage in the Bible that would prove this, I think none better exists than Job chapter 1, because in Job 1, we begin to see in a very profound way, applicably, where you start seeing in application the limitations of Satan. He can't do everything. He hadn't always been around. He can't do everything. He doesn't even know everything. So let's go to Job chapter 1. Will you turn your Bible to Job 1 with me? Who doesn't love the story of Job? We all love it, right? We like the story of Job. It's just a tremendous story of resilience. And Job, he wavers a little bit in the middle, but he never really just gives in. And at the end, because of his perseverance, he's rewarded above and beyond. But I could not have fared better in that situation than Job did. I'll tell you, his level of integrity and patience is a lot better than mine. It's worth emulation in my judgment. Job chapter 1. So here's the thing. I want to recall some of our previous studies about, and I didn't bring it up already, but remember we were talking about probably a month or so ago in our study about the origin of angels. And the Bible presents the case they were created in Psalm 148. You have the angels listed among other things, and it says they were created. Well, that would include the angels are listed in that list. And in Job chapter 38 and some other passages, you have a reference to the fact that the sons of God, which we believe to be angels, were rejoicing at what they were seeing God do in creation. We take that to mean that angels were created at the very commencement of creation. God created the heavens, there you go, for angels, and the earth. And the angels watched God over 6 days create out of nothing the most spectacular universe. And they marveled at that, and they gave God glory for that. That's important, because in verse 6 of Job chapter 1, there was a day when the sons of God, we believe those to be angels. Now watch what happens. The sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord in his presence in heaven. And watch, Satan also came among them. Satan also came among them, meaning that he was not counted among the faithful sons of God that were there. He is in the presence of God. He presents himself to God, but he's not counted as one of that group of the faithful that came to honor and reverence and adore God. There's something said about Satan at this point. And then watch the conversation that follows. Verse 7, the Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" So Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking back and forth on it." Watch carefully. Verse 8. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Now God is drawing attention to the fact that Satan hasn't considered something. There's something in this passage he does not know, meaning he has limitation in his knowledge. If he's limited in his knowledge, he does not know everything. He is not God. And then God explains, here's what you don't know about Job. Job is a blameless and upright man, one who fears God, that is God speaking, one who fears me and shuns evil. So Satan answered the Lord, does Job fear you for nothing? So in this passage, it is clear that the devil lacked certain knowledge, meaning that he is not omniscient. And one of the attributes that defines divinity, that defines God, is omniscience. The devil is not God. Drop down. Verse 10, have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, around all that he has on every side? You bless the work of his hands, his possessions have increased in land. So he looks, and the devil said, well, I can see that he's blessed, but he clearly serves you because he's blessed. And watch what happens in verse 11. Stretch out now, Satan is saying to God, stretch out now your hand, touch all that he has. You affect him physically, monetarily, economically, and he'll surely curse you to your face. And God says, behold, this is God speaking to Satan, all that he has in your hand is in your power. I'm giving you permission to do that. Only you cannot affect his person. You can't touch his body at this point. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Satan had to have permission, authority from God to do what he did to Job. That means he lacked certain power. Hence, he is not omnipotent. So he's not omniscient. And he's not omnipotent. He doesn't have all power, and he doesn't know everything. And he wasn't counted among the faithful, so he's not holy. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't have unlimited power. And it's interesting, in verse 7, when he says, I've been in the earth going to and fro, the idea is when I'm here, I'm not there. He's not omnipresent. So there's a lot that the devil doesn't possess. He may be, as I believe, an angel with superhuman qualities, but he is not God. I'm going to say one more verse in the book of Job, real quick. Job 42, near the end. Job 42, verse 2. I know that you can do everything, Job speaking of God, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. God can't be restrained. And I like some of the ASV, and I think the ESV does the same thing. The idea would be no purpose of yours can be withholden. No purpose of yours can be restrained. But the devil can be restrained. There are passages in the Bible that talk about how Satan is limited. And there's even, I love this verse, Revelation 20 verses 1 and 2. In those two verses, it talks about how God has bound Satan. Now I know there's a lot of figurative language in there. But the meaning, the meaning behind some of the symbolism there is very clear, that when God puts a strap on Satan, when he binds him, Satan can't do anything. So Satan can be bound, he can be restrained, and yet Job said the Lord can't be restrained. So Satan is not God. So we dismiss the idea that Satan is an equal, an eternal co-equal to God. He hasn't always been around. We believe he's an angel created at the beginning, but we'll talk about why he did. But he became evil. He transgressed against God, but he's not divine. So that leaves only two options. The second option would be that he's a human being. He's some sort of human, and something happened, and now he's the adversary of God and man both, but that he was a human being to begin with. And we adamantly deny that as well. He's not God. He is not a human being. Think about this. The devil existed before the man and the woman, right? He existed before the man and the woman. We believe him to be created at the very beginning, just based on the language of Genesis 1 through 3. But when we read Genesis chapter 1 and we read chapter 2 about human beings, the only two human beings at that point are Adam and Eve. And the Bible later would confirm that he was the first man. 1 Corinthians chapter or Romans chapter 5 and 1 Corinthians chapter 15 both talk about Adam being the first man. All right, so you have Adam and Eve. They're the first two human beings. But then Satan comes along in chapter 3 and does something that not only is impossible for a human being to do, to take the form of a serpent. We can't do that. But he's there in the beginning with them. But there were only two human beings at that point, the Bible confirms. So the devil is not a human being. It just absolutely would not make sense to suggest that he is a human being. So we believe that he is capable of things beyond the capacity of human beings. So we dismiss that. That would mean, if we're right, and I believe we're standing on good ground, don't you, that the devil is not divine, he's not human, he is an angel. The devil is an angel. Turn to 2 Peter chapter 2, and I think we have confirmation of that. So we've just sort of done process of elimination, but we get confirmation that our judgment, our discernment is right. 2 Peter chapter 2. Boy, wouldn't this be a scary passage if you were an angel that followed Satan out of God's presence. And they know, they have to know. It's been told to them. 2 Peter 2, and we are going to look at verse 4. 2 Peter 2, verse 4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, wouldn't that include the devil? Why would he talk about angels that sin? Because our natural attention would be drawn to Satan. I mean, he was the instigator of all that rebellion against God, which we have coming up in our study. But cast them down to hell and deliver them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. And, the Bible even talks about hell being the place reserved for the devil and his angels. I believe that's a fitting description of Satan. Now, there may have been more than Satan. People followed Satan. You go to Revelation 12, and you've got the devil and his angels, right? You've got a group that he has led out of the presence of God in rebellion, but the devil is included in that. So we believe, and we believe we can do that with absolute certainty, that the devil is an angel, which would mean that because he is an angel, he's a person. He's personal, he's a personal being, but he's a superhuman personal being, right? Because remember, man is made a little lower than the angels. That Psalm 8 passage that's ultimately applied to Jesus, but is a generic principle that regards man, that we are made a little lower than the angels. So there's no question that while Satan is not God, he is more in his nature powerful than me and you. He knows more, he is stronger, he is faster. He can get from one place to another faster than we can, but he is all of those things because he is superhuman. It also means he does not exist in the physical realm. He's a spirit being. Remember, one of the things we discerned about angels is they are spirit beings. They're invisible. Now, at times they have appeared in the form of men because God allowed them to appear as such for specific purposes, but they don't exist in the physical realm. It's not like you're going to round the corner and bump into a guy and he just looks devilish and you say, that was Satan. I know that it was Satan. You can't do that. He doesn't exist in the physical realm. He is a worldwide power. There's no question that he has worldwide influence. He is the sworn enemy of God and man. He has stuck his finger in God's face and cursed God. He does it in Job. He's just challenging God. And he is the enemy of God and man. He is wicked in his character. Not by design. God did not make him that way. Remember, at the beginning he was made as an angel and he was at one time very good. He started out very good. We're gonna use that passage again when we get to how did he get to where he is. But he wasn't always this way. He is a created being. So he's not eternal. He's not God. He is amenable to God. Angels have choice. Remember, we said that angels have choice. But he's in a pitiful position because he's going to be reserved in chains forever until the day of judgment. His destiny eternally is not good. But he also wants to destroy everybody he can in the process. Okay? So, an important study, I think, because too often people believe that the devil is some sort of an equal to God. He is not. And I'll tell you why, on a personal level, I like that. The devil does not know what's in my heart. He does not. He can't read my mind. He doesn't know what's in the vault of my heart. He doesn't know that. Only God knows the secrets of men, Romans 2, verse 16. The devil doesn't know that. And he's got certain things he can use, like the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. That's it. But he can't force me to do things against my will. It's sort of cringeworthy when people say the devil just made me do it. He can't make you do anything. He's not God. He can't impose his will on you or me. So the devil doesn't know what's in my mind. He doesn't know what's in my prayers. He doesn't know what my struggles are unless I reveal it, through, buying into a temptation. But he is not stronger than God. By nature, he's not stronger than God. So if we stick with God, which Jesus did, he paved the way for us, right? He showed that if you trust in God, you can beat the devil. I'm thankful for that. So the devil is the third named angel in the Bible, and his nature is angelic. He's an angel in the Bible, not God, not man, but an angel. So next week, we're going to put a peg in it here. Next week, we're going to figure out the origin of his wickedness. How did he get to where he is? When did he do that? We'll find out. We'll try to find out. And how does he operate on you and me? How does he tempt us? And we're going to see that hopefully next week. If we have to extend it another, we'll do the same thing. We're not going to rush through. It's just a good study, worth studying, right? And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We appreciate all of you so much. Lord willing, we'll see you Sunday. If not, may God bless you and keep you safe. Hope you're all safe and sound. Love you guys.